When I first started learning Spanish, any possibilities of gender-neutral language were never addressed. When they eventually were mentioned in higher level classes, I went through a whole existential crisis about whether I could even literally exist in my family's language as a non-binary Latinx person.
I felt very embraced as a person by my professors, but I think the lack of conversations about non-binary pronouns in class made it feel a little more intimidating to bring up the subject.
I will never forget a specific student asking me in office hours if the word amigas, one inclusive form to express friends, was grammatically correct. I wish I could have a site with sources that complemented my response. I could have said, grammar is life with the people and their diversity, and here is a link with sources about the topic.
The Binary Decoder is a collaborative website filled with resources to support students and teachers and gender-inclusive practices in the teaching and learning of languages with binary grammatical genders.
Our goals are twofold. First, to share recent findings of research centered on non-binary and gender-inclusive pedagogies in second language acquisition, and on the use of non-binary and gender-inclusive language in grammatically binary linguistic communities around the world. Second, to provide a comprehensive and practical approach to the inclusion and celebration of the non-binary gender community in the classroom with sample lesson plans and pedagogical materials.
The website will be dedicated to building an inclusive and trans-departmental team interested in collaborating in the creation of a virtual portal addressing goals of gender-inclusive language in RLL classrooms.
Curating and reviewing the most up-to-date research with an emphasis on the study results and takeaways, while also drawing on the input of experts across the country.
Writing protocols and guidelines for starting the conversation on non-binary inclusivity in the classroom and for supporting non-binary students.
Sharing inclusive lesson plans and curriculum materials and tips and strategies for an inclusive classroom.
Showcasing presentations, webinars, and faculty and student projects.
Empowering students, instructors, and the rest of the community to continue the dialogue for change through testimonies and data we will gather on students' perceptions of gender inclusivity in language courses.
Learning a language is all about communicating. In order to communicate effectively, one must address their peers respectfully and inclusively. That's why this research is so important, because it will provide students and faculty alike with the tools necessary to be inclusive in their respective languages.
Languages are constantly evolving. This research will also serve to document the changing norms and conventions in Romance languages. That documentation allows for a more thorough picture of how the language is really being spoken.
In the future, I think it'll be great to have a bit of a set plan in courses for how to approach the topic of gender inclusion, such as having set materials to circulate and discuss, as well as a time frame to discuss them.
I see this resource helping our students and faculty grow and change, along with the languages they study. Our research will never be finished, but the more we learn, the more equipped we will be to create classrooms where all students feel welcome and comfortable.
Resources like these would be really empowering. I'd feel embraced in the classroom and equipped to advocate for myself when I speak Romance languages in other contexts.
We can invite students to ask questions, to talk to one another, and support them in making their own best decisions regarding their use of the target language.
We all need to be educated, and having some place where we can go and draw from and have resources, I think is going to make a difference.
We are thrilled with the RLL support. The website will be linked to the department site, and we have already been invited to share this project and to present on inclusive pedagogies at the orientation for the new academic semester.
Our hope is that this resource will be of interest for the Harvard community beyond Romance languages and literatures. Many of the resources will touch on broader questions of inclusion applicable to every classroom, and the Binary Decoder will also serve as a model for similar resources in other disciplines and focused on other issues in diversity, inclusion, and belonging.